we first year working with the Italian company, then we started the Silvia continued working with them, and then I was experimenting with a lot of things. In between that, like I launched this recipe app, which was we had a bunch of ideas of things that could pick up traction in apps, because like there were not many apps at the time that could do big things, right? I just realized, like by doing the Craigslist app, that I wanted to build something that positively impacts millions of people every day. And then once I had that realization, I was like, oh, that's what drives me. That's what I was born to do. Like that's what makes me happy. That's what makes me wake up every day happy. That's what like makes me keep thinking at night. Like that's what drives me. Once I realized during that year that like that's exactly what I want to do with my life. Then I was like, okay, I created a list of everything that will positively impact people, help people, and then I'll build an app for that. And I ordered them by number of people who would use that app, right? So, and then the most hilarious part is that the number one app would be a recipe app, because it was like people eat every day. Recipe apps are free. Like people can just download them like without paying, and then I can reach more people with a recipe app than I can with a Craigslist app. So then I made the list, and the recipe app was number one, and then that was on a Saturday. Then on Sunday, I released a fake recipe app on the Google Play, just like. It had like 3 recipes, and copy and pasted them and put it in. And
in 24 hours, you were basically. I love the practicality of how you live your life. Just in terms of, it's true. I think it's one of the combinations that makes you such a special founder is that this insane curiosity, and you know how to learn. You learn very fast, but you also get it done. You execute. You just don't stay in the idea world. I think that's fascinating that you just you ranked out the ideas. It's basically there is this moment on the whole like Joseph Campbell thing was just like you're at the belly of the whale basically, like you cross a point of no return, knowing that you want to impact millions of people, but then you're about to face a bunch of obstacles. So I guess we'll get there.
The biggest one is the realization. Like I think when you. As an immigrant, you arrive to the Bay Area. Even if you're American, like coming from anywhere else, you arrive in the Bay Area, you start meeting people, right? You meet these people like, oh, this guy is ex-founder of X, he massive exit, very successful. And then you start meeting all these successful people, and like, if you're an engineer, like the only thing that you need to know is like pattern recognition, like, right? Like engineers are really good in pattern matching things. And then I was like, okay, what does this guy has to do with this guy, with this other guy, with this other guy, with this other guy? And it's always the same pattern, which is like, do something for 7 years, and just keep at it, like do something that's big enough, that's like, it's going to stay true for at least 7 years. During the 7 years, there's always going to be a breakthrough of technology that will allow you to grow, right, your company. So like for example, if you're doing and then I created a list of things that I didn't need to do marketing to succeed. I didn't need to do anything. So I think my pattern is like I don't want to work on things that I can be blocked. So I put things on the list that are only things that I don't need anybody to succeed. So I can out-engineer anybody. And that was my mindset. Look, I'm just going to work on something for 7 years. That's going to be like, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to out-engineer everybody, or my product is going to be so much better than everybody else. And I'm going to do this for 7 years. It's going to be a recipe app. I know that people have recipe apps on the internet before, on the web. That's pretty big. I'm going to do that on mobile. That was like, it was such a easy pattern for me to keep at it for 7 years. We got super lucky that in 1 year we generated enough value that we sold the company to the largest recipe website. But like in the end, like I was gonna do it for 7 years because I saw it, right?
That's great. So, I love the 7 year mark, and I think it's just it correlates also with how I think in terms of making investments. And this is something that my former manager at the firm, the first VC job I had at FCVC, a Funders Club, I remember bringing, I was a very hungry associate, and I would, like how you're saying it, so I'll try to like out engineer. My goal was to out hustle anyone that I was competing against with. I was like, I can take more meetings than other people, no problem, and meet more founders. And sometimes I'd get very excited because the problem with junior investors is that oftentimes the incentives are incorrect. You just want to get deals through so you grow and become a partner. And I only learned that after I started, a few venture firms, basically like with ONVC and now with Atman. But I remember him saying, these are perfectly fine businesses and they're being run by incredible people. But we have to underwrite our exits at a minimum. At that time, it was $1 billion. Today, I would say the minimum is $10 billion, just because of the size of the market and how big the funds are, and the fact that that type of exit is very possible, right? There have been many examples. But he said, we need to think about who's going to buy this company in 7 to 10 years from now. And when they are underwriting their case, they need to at least see 3 times their money. So how is it that this can become very large in a decade or 7 years from now, and then still be a story that is going to be at a minimum of 3x for whoever buys it? That really impacted my my framework of thinking. There's even a particular investment that I led when I was at one VC called Covey, and we ended up making the investment, but they basically rent mobility vehicles, basically rent cars for Uber drivers, but they're traditionally a mobility company, and we were concerned about self-driving cars. What would happen at the time of the exit? But we saw that level 5 automation was still so far away that we were comfortable making the investment. But I love that you just have that as like the framework, so in terms of if I want to be successful in Silicon Valley, I need to work on something for a minimum of 7 years.
It's such a minimum because it takes 5 years to do anything good anyway. Like for example, Anycart, right? Like we started on the back end of something like that we were working already for 3 years, and then it looks like we and then it just takes 5 years for you to build anything useful anyway, and then like these 2 last years are like capitalizing on something great, like it just takes like if you don't allow you like to build for 5 years and then like this 2 years of growth, it's just like it's hard. I think like and what I've done in 2011, I just aligned this passion of impacting positively millions of people with something that I could do without getting blocked, which is like, I can build a recipe site. Like, come on, that's like, if you're learning how to code, like literally recipe sites is the ultimate tutorial. How to build a website is always a recipe site. So I was like, okay, I can build a recipe site. I can do that for 7 years. And then if we keep succeeding and being #1 recipe app. So in that Sunday, I launched this app with 3 recipes. And then I saw that I could get more downloads from a recipe app than I could get for a Craigslist app. And we were the #1 Craigslist app on the store. So then like knowing that number, like that recipe apps are bigger than Craigslist apps, then where I was like, okay, this is big, because if we can get like more users to use recipes than Craigslist, then that was the data that I was like, okay, this is good enough for me. I'm passionate about food. I came from Italy. Like I can really go deep into this problem and create the best search engine for recipes. I can create all these things. I can, do all this better than other people. And then I think, I was really ready.
That's great.